All right, how's everybody doing? My name is Todd, and I am with Tick, and here we try to figure out what makes people tick. And this one is an interesting one. What makes a person kind of drop everything, buy a boat, and no sailing experience, if I'm correct?
Exactly.
Yeah. So we have Vickie is at Leuenberg.
Yeah, that's perfect.
All right, and she went and did that. Bought a boat, and I guess you learned how to sail the hard way, the
Yes.
trial by
Well,
fire.
I don't know. There was some trial by fire, I have to say, and I think that's the beauty of sailing is that there always will be. The sailing and the sea keeps you humble because every time you think you know what you're doing, it's going to prove you wrong. But the learnings wasn't that hard because I was actually learning with little kids because usually you learn to sail when you're like 12 or 13.
Right.
So when I started sailing lessons, I was in groups with 12 years old learning the basics.
Yep. Guess that's the way you got to do it. Yep. That's kind of funny actually. I don't know. They probably made fun of you, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah, a
Yeah.
little bit.
A
A
little
little
bit.
bit.
A
I
little
was
bit.
struggling with the knots
Oh
and I was
yeah.
struggling with very basic maneuvers that those kids have been doing at sailing camp for weeks.
Oh yeah. So so what was your process? Did you just drop everything and say I'm going to sell my house, sell my car, quit my job, get on a boat and go, or the process of this is great, or this is a cool idea, or maybe I can do this, maybe I can't, and you hemmed and hawed about it for a couple of years, and then went off and pulled the trigger, and then sold everything and went off and bought a boat and did that.
Mm. So, we were chatting just before this, and I was telling you that it started when I went on a chartered trip to the Bahamas. So that was my first sailing experience. That was back in 2019. And then we went fishing, and there was just this aspect of this lifestyle that completely charmed me. And I decided when I came back from that trip that my new goal would be to move on a boat. And when I set my mind onto a goal, I will do everything in my power to make it happen. Because I come from a background of high level sports coaching. I used to coach athletes. So I was like, all right, the next podium is moving on a boat. This is where we're going. So the first thing I did, I believe, was to find someone else who has done it. So I started to look on the internet for other women because at the time I was alone. I didn't have anyone with me, no partner, no husband. So I said, okay, I'm going to look for single, solo female sailors. And I connected with them on social media, send them a message and say, hi, I just admire you so much. How did you become a sailor? What's your story? And where should I start? Um, and I think that's what I would advise anyone who has a big dream or a big goal that scares them is find someone who's done it. Whether you want a podcast, whether you want to start a goat farm, whether you want to start, I don't know, becoming a fashion model, find someone who's done it because meeting that person will reinforce the belief in your brain that you can do it too. So if you're listening to this and you want to start sailing, send me a message. I'll help you out. So that was my first step. And then from that moment on, I started, taking courses, online courses, in-person courses to learn everything I could about boats and about sailing. So meteorology, diesel mechanic, electricity for boats, VHF radios, knots, astronomy, navigation on maps, literally anything I could find sailing related, I did in order to get ready to do this big move.
Yeah, my all-time favorite. I was in the Air Force. I'm retired Air Force, and I taught survival. So water survival in the ocean was probably my least favorite, other than Arctic survival. You're just being cold all the time. But yeah, it's not going to be fun when and if unfortunately it happens. It's not going to be a fun time. So hopefully you got all that stuff taken care of, because that's it's a scary thought out in the middle of the ocean and nobody there except for, as they told us, you are part of the food chain. You're no longer at the top. So it's a little bit of scary thought. Um, so you you went and did all that stuff. How long did it take to buy a boat? Did you go through a lot of boats, or was it just you
So
saw it
I
and it was like that's it?
Yeah, yeah, it was very much like being starstruck or love at first sight, one could say. So in this whole 4 year process of learning how to sail, I also met my current partner. So I went on dating websites and I held interviews for a potential sailing partner, and I met this guy who was willing to come and sail with me. So we started shopping for boats together, mostly online. And then one day we found this boat on Facebook Marketplace,
Hmm.
which was within our budget, was a model that we were interested in, a size that we were interested in. So we messaged the owner, and it turns out that the owners were about the same age as us. So same demographic, same lifestyle, and that we all went to the same university.
Wow.
What are the odds?
Yeah. Meant
So
to
we
be.
thought, this is the one, this is
Yep.
meant to be. And then we did a Zoom call where they showed us a virtual visit of the boat. And then we got to ask them a bunch of questions. We did a second call. And then we had someone in the Caribbean visit the boat for us to make sure, that they weren't hiding anything and that the boat was really in good shape. And yeah, and then they left it at a marina for us in Trinidad and Tobago, which is an island just north of Venezuela. And they left it there, and then we flew to Trinidad and Tobago and met Yellowbird for the first time.
And then how long have you been on? How long have you been on the boat now?
Now we've been on Yellowbird for 9 months.
9 months. And where have you sailed off to? I don't think you can go around the world in 9 months, but
No, no, definitely not. And I don't think I want to cross an ocean on this boat,
oh,
right? So ocean crossing will take between like 2 and 3 weeks for the Atlantic, and then 3 to 4 weeks for the Pacific. Um, so in order to do that, right, especially on this boat where electricity is limited, which means autopilot is limited.
hmm.
When you're crossing an ocean, first of all, you want to be able to use your autopilot at all time, and you want to be at least four to be comfortable so that you can sleep if someone is seasick, and that you can rotate easily, right? And on this boat, it would be hard to live four people on this boat for 2 weeks, I think. But so far, what we've done, sorry, that was your question.
Nope.
We left from Trinidad, we went up to Grenada, and then up to the Grenadines, where we did a couple of islands there, and then St. Vincent, St. Lucia, and now we've just arrived 4 days ago in Martinique.
Hmm. Must be a hard life just to hop around the Caribbean from island to island to island. It's I feel your pain. So I'm sure you don't have a lot of snow, but you do have the threat of a hurricane every once in a while. But
We do have that. And we've had, to be honest, it's been a very challenging season. And I think we were supposed to be much further in the Caribbean at this stage. Our plan was to arrive in Martinique in December, and we just arrived 4 days ago, just
wow,
to give you an idea. Because when we left Trinidad and arrived in Grenada, we were like 5 miles off the coast of Grenada. We just finished our first night crossing, our first sail that is more than 24 hours. So that's, almost 36 hours without sleeping. Um, and we arrived in Grenada. We're 5 miles. We can see Grenada. We've made it. And then the engine starts smoking. But
oh,
smoking crazy. And then there's smoke all over the boat. So all of our clothes are smoked, our
oh
bed,
yeah,
our sheets, our books. So I try to go in and start opening the hatches, opening the window. I asked my partner to kill the engine so I can take a look at it. Look the engine. I find a leak. I'm not sure if that's the problem. Try to fix the leak. We try to start the engine again. It starts smoking again. Um, we're unable to get into the bay, so we just kind of sailed into the bay without the engine, and then we found a mooring ball, hooked ourselves on it, killed the engine, and then took the time to really look at it. And then turns out that the exhaust was disconnected, so the
oh,
exhaust was emptying inside the boat. So the whole bilge, the whole bottom of the boat was filled with water mixed with diesel and
oh.
oil, and all the smoke obviously was emptying inside of our home. So that was a big problem. And turns out that we were not able to repair it. So we had a broken engine for almost 3 months.
Well,
So it was a pretty challenging season because then we decided to continue moving, but without an engine. And in December, we did a 4-day sail, which ended by being towed by the Coast Guards. Yeah.
yep, yep. Nothing like yeah. That is definitely a trial by fire kind of ordeal. So
Yep.
yeah, that's the unpredictability of engines, vehicles, and the ocean. Who
Yes, all
knows?
that mixed together.
Yeah, exciting. But that makes it. I don't know. Were were you in there at one time going? You know what? Did I make a mistake? Was there a second thought going through your mind during all that, or
Um,
or is it just
surprise, surprisingly not in those moments. When you're in the action
right?
and you're on a sail and we had this sail where the the ropes, the lines that were tied to the sail ripped off. So we had no more control of the sail at the front. We had no engine. We had no batteries. So we had no sailing instrument. We were calculating on paper maps. We were like 100 kilometers away from land. So we couldn't use the VHF radio to ask for help. And in that moment, you have so much to think about that there's no space for doubt or judgment. There's only space for action and safety, right?
Right.
But there was a moment where I really wanted to quit. And that was back when we were still stuck in Grenada. We had obviously no engine, so no way to get our boat to marinas. So we had no more fresh water on board. Our solar panels stopped recharging the batteries, so we had no more electricity, no more fridge, no way to charge our electronics. Our dinghy, so our way to get to land, broke. So all of this was broken at the same time, and I got really sick because I did a repair with some chemicals
Mm.
and I inhaled a bunch of products. So I went to sleep very early, and my partner decided to clean our toilet in the ocean, and he accidentally dropped it at the
Oh,
bottom of the ocean. So he wakes me up and he says, Vickie, I'm so, so sorry. I've lost our toilet. And the next day we had to poop in a bucket. And I was like, this is it. This is the bottom. This is the
yeah.
bottom. Why am I doing this again? And what am I doing here? And why do I want this life? And then we borrowed some scuba equipment, scuba gear. We scuba dove and found our toilet at the
Wow.
bottom of the sea, brought it back, put it back in the boat, and then it was all uphill from there.
Yep. If you can make it out of the lowest possible point, then you're yeah, you should be able to handle anything now. Yeah, you got it
Yeah,
all
right?
broke.
I don't think it gets worse than that.
Well, knock on wood, you got a whole bunch right there. Knock on all of it. So that's interesting. Um, what would be well, you said you'd answer the people's questions, but what would be the one thing you would tell somebody not to do it if you had? Would you tell somebody not to do it?
I'm sorry, I think my
Yep.
internet
Yep.
took a pause here, but life. Your question was,
Would
what would be something I would tell someone not to do it?
yeah, would there ever come up, somebody comes up and says, I want to do what you did, and they kind of go through things, and would you look that person and tell them, what, maybe this isn't for you?
Mm. Okay, so you need to have a very strong why. It needs to be
Mm.
very clear for you why you're doing this. And if it isn't, you won't be able to get through the challenges. And you need to be able to regulate your nervous system because there are moments where you think you're going to die. You're on your
Oh,
boat, there are 3 meter waves, there's, a 60-kilometer-an-hour wind in your face, stuff is broken. Maybe you have crew on board or a partner that is yelling, and you think, this is it. This is it. I'm going to die. Or it's pitch black darkness. The sea is completely black. The sky is completely black. You don't see land. You don't see any light. And you're just on this floating coconut, questioning your whole existence. So it's not for everybody. And you need to be very strong mentally for this lifestyle to be fun.
See, I would think that'd be great out there in the darkness, just to see everything in the sky, and because not a lot of people get to do that. So I've done that in Alaska in February. So yeah, it was uh, it was amazing to just be outside and pitch black, and all you had was the northern lights and the stars. So yeah, that's it's definitely, I wouldn't do it. I think physically I probably couldn't do it anymore, but yeah, when there's a possibility you get up in the morning and that might be the last morning you get up, um, people really need to think about those kind of things. So yeah, you have to be mentally tough and be able to think on your feet, and yeah, turn off the motor and go down and fix it, and hopefully you know what you're looking at. So obviously it sounds like you knew what you were looking for. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I admire the spirit and the gumption to go off and do something like that. That's not an easy thing to do.
Thank
So
you.
so you're in the Caribbean in the nice warm. I see whatever's throwing a shadow up there on the wall behind you is
Nope.
gently rocking back and forth. Oh, okay, yep. So it must be moored somewhere. Because if I'm, so I was going to say, if you're not, you'd be jumping all over the place. So what's in the future? Is it just going to be hopping along the Caribbean, or are you gonna go for a bigger boat and uh, maybe jump over to Europe, or go the other way through the Suez Canal? And I'm pretty sure that's expensive, but
Yeah, yeah, it
and
is, but it's a lot of people do it.
yep,
Um, so for this season, we're going to continue sailing up north until um probably mid-April. And then mid-April, we'll sail back down, all the way down to Trinidad and Tobago, because that's below the hurricane line, so they don't
right.
get really any hurricanes. And we're going to haul out, go see our friends and family back in Canada, and then we'll fly back in September to kind of repair boats, because that's the thing about boats, right? Is that they require a lot of attention, a lot of money. You need to love fixing things. You need to love giving away your money for boat parts. So that's what's going to happen for us in September. And then we have a friend who needs some crew in order to cross the Atlantic from Spain over to the Caribbean. So I think in
Hmm.
November we'll fly to Spain, um, and then cross over with him. Of course, we'd like to get a bigger boat. I don't think my partner and I have necessarily the goal to cross an ocean. That doesn't make us tick. What
Okay.
makes us tick, this lifestyle of like freedom, of working online, of fishing or fish for dinner, of just yeah, living outside, spending a lot of time outside and all of that. But I don't think we have any goals in terms of distance or accomplishments. Um, but we'd like a bigger boat because we'd like to raise our kids possibly in this lifestyle, and we don't have kids at the moment. But that would require a bigger boat, that's for sure.
Yep. Always need a bigger house to throw another body into it. Yeah, it'd be rough to have a tiny little boat and have another mouth to feed, and yeah, it's tough stuff. So yeah, yeah, I find it fascinating. That's why I started doing this channel. Is come across people that just do the things that are kind of out of the ordinary, and why did they do that? And um, it's to me it's fascinating, and hopefully that other people will find it fascinating too. And yeah, maybe somebody will go, you know what? If she can do it, then I can do it too. So,
Hell
but
yes. Hell yes.
yeah, yeah, I don't think I could do it. I'd like the fishing part, but yep, not the not living in a tiny little boat. Again, that's another thing that if you're claustrophobic, I'm sure that could be a problem.
I think it's both. Yeah, it is a small space. At the same time, we're very rarely inside.
Oh,
I've never spent like as much time outside as within this lifestyle. And one big thing for me, actually, one of the things that attracted me to sailing, aside from sustainability, catching my own food and all of that, um, was actually the fact that you get to travel, but sleep in your bed every night.
Hmm.
Isn't that amazing? You know, I was this person in university who didn't like to go out because I didn't like to sleep at other people's house. I like to sleep in my own stuff, you know? And now I've been to 5, 6 countries in the last, 9 months, but always sleeping in my bed at night.
Well, sleeping in your own bed. Yeah, that is a nice thing. Doing the military stuff, you were always in some hotel or some barracks, or in my case, we were sleeping on the ground in the yeah. So it was always no fun. But yeah, we love to travel and go do things. Our next big trip is in April. We're going to Italy. So and
Woo!
yeah, so I'll just take the plane and go stay in the nice hotel, and none of the none of that other stuff. Too old for that stuff now. So got to do it while you're young. Yeah, got to do it. And I suppose living on top of each other all the time has some disadvantages. So never ever get away from the other person because they're always right there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely I think you're hitting the nail on the head here, Todd. I think that's the biggest challenge. It's not the financial struggles, it's not the boat repairs, it's not the bad weather. I think the biggest challenge is um, keeping your relationship healthy while having basically no personal space and no
Right.
like autonomy, right? It's difficult. We only have one car per se, which is our dinghy. Like we always need to manage who when, why, what.
Right.
That always needs to be a conversation. So yeah, that's got to be the biggest challenge for me.
Yeah, I just guess you could tell people just live in a what is that? Probably a 10 by 10 room for 9 months, and just kind of go from there. That's what it would be like, and have a go out on your in your yard or out on the patio, which is usually not very much bigger either, and go from there. So yeah, oh no, I can imagine. I did some sailing in San Diego, and it was like, yeah, no, it was kind of fun, but no, it's too much work. So, but very very cool. Um, I know I've seen your Facebook page and your Instagram. What's some of the other stuff? You got to have a job to pay for all this. What's your day job other than sailing all over the world? Well, I guess
Yeah.
all over the Caribbean.
Well, soon the world, today the
Yep,
Caribbean, tomorrow the
yep,
world.
yep.
I work as part of this absolutely amazing remote-based academy, which is called Zennial Traveler. And this company is based out of the US, but they help, entrepreneurs from all over the world to build and scale their remote-based business.
Hmm.
So I'm part of a team of several coaches. I think there's 8 of us. There are sales specialists, funnel specialists, business marketing specialists, and I help mostly with the mindset aspect of it, as well as the remote based aspect of it. So I'm kind of like a fairy godmother for aspiring digital nomads.
And you're out there doing it, so it's not like you're not you're talking the talk and you're walking the walk, or you're
Yes,
you're sailing the boat and still doing the job. So that's a
exactly.
that's important. At least people, some people, if you can't walk the walk and do that, people aren't going to believe or hold an ounce of truth of what you say. So that does make a big difference. So that's
Hmm.
that's pretty interesting. Interesting. You have an interesting life.
Yeah, I like to think so. I mean, it is mine, and that's what
Oh yeah,
matters.
yep, yep. And then yeah, when like you said, you're in Grenada and things aren't going right, just remember it's yours. Nobody said you need to go and do this. Yeah, it's your idea. So
Exactly. I think we often forget that we want the same things, right? We all
oh yeah,
want to be loved. We all want to feel accomplished. We all want to be happy. But the question is, instead of choosing those joy or choosing those goals, we have to choose our pain. what are you willing to go through? You know, starting a business will mean that you'll probably lack security the first couple of months. You know, choosing to have a boat means you're going to need to do boat repairs. Choosing to have kids means, you know, you're going to have to be committed to taking care of this other human being. So choose your pain. And once you've chosen that pain is yours, and you don't feel like you're, you feel responsible for your life. You own your life instead of having your life happening to you.
Yeah, yeah. A boss is telling you what time you need to be at work, and yeah, I don't think you have that problem. You argue with the boss in the mirror, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yep. And yeah, don't have to worry about where you're going to get some food unless you don't catch anything. That could always be a problem. So yeah, get your get your spear gun out and put your flippers on and your mask on and go get something to eat. That's always a easy way to do it. Kind of cheating, but it is what it is. That's your benefit of living on a boat. You can just jump in the water and go get something to eat right away. So
Yeah, and it's also free rent.
oh, it's not free.
I pay for a lot of things, but not for rent. You know,
No,
right now I'm anchored in Martinique, and a cruising permit in Martinique for 3 months is €3.
really.
Yeah, so in order for my boat to be in you know, these waters, these
Right.
continental waters, it cost me nothing.
Yeah.
I think it's
Wow.
pretty.
That is pretty good. Wow. I would always thought it would have been several hundred of dollars. Maybe it's just where you are. Pull
Uh,
into pull into
well,
Miami. I bet it's a lot different.
yeah, well, the United States is actually free for the first month,
Oh wow.
and then it's $90 per month, 90 US dollars.
Well, that's not that bad either. So
Yeah.
wow, that's interesting. Another interesting thing. So we'll probably talk for hours and find interesting things, but
For sure.
I I don't want to hold you up because I'm sure you got something you could go do. Go out in nice warm weather. Um, but yeah, that's very interesting, and glad I got to talk to you. And hopefully, people will be inspired about what makes you tick and
Yeah.
what makes your. I'm sure your partner has that same tick going on there too. So it's always kind of hard to find somebody that has that same ideas and lifestyles and that you do. Um, my wife and I are complete opposites. We don't listen to the same music. We don't watch the same movies. We don't do, yeah, we don't have the same food tastes. So, yeah, it's just we are the opposites attract, and sometimes it could be difficult. So, but it is what it is. That's how we roll. So, but yeah, very interesting conversation. Really glad I got to meet you, and maybe later on when you're in another, well, maybe after your, what'd you say, September? You're going to Spain,
That's gonna be November.
November. Maybe well after you get, well, it'll take you a couple of weeks to get back. So yeah, maybe after the right around the holidays, we'll see how your trip went from Spain to wherever you're going to be at. Well, probably where your boat is. So
Caribbean, yeah.
yep. Oh yeah, the Caribbean. Yeah. Oh, so hard life. So looks like your internet's starting to cut out a little bit. So maybe you're not going so well, but that is what it is. That's the
It's
boat
part of
life.
life.
Yep, it's the boat life. Oh well.
Part about life.
Yep. Bad internet, great food, but that's okay. All right.
Great
Well,
sunshine.
yep. Well,
Well, thank you for having me. That was very fun.
yeah, thank you. And maybe we'll get. I'll see what brings in the next. Oh, what is that? 8 months, 9 months, and maybe get back and do this again. See how your travels went for your first ocean crossing. Sounds exciting. So we'll look at that. So yes, thank you very much, and best of luck to you. And stay above water, and don't use your survival gear because I know how that stuff works, and it would not be fun. So okay, thank
I
you.
promise. Thank you, Todd.